Another theory today, gentlemen, a theory that I'm grappling with extensively in my book that I'm writing at the moment. The problem or the difficulty with, let's say, accessing women on the level that your body will allow you to through pheromone, through scent, through stimulating the olfactory nerves is not as simple as one would believe. So there was a very interesting study done in 1995 that denoted the first objective, empirical, clinical evidence that, women have preferences in scent. And this study was aptly coined the sweaty t-shirt study, I believe. And subsequent studies discovered that there was a certain chemical, and when women were presented with different t-shirts, varying in chemicals, control group, experimental group, etc., there was a clear winner. And that winner was the t-shirts, which were subjected to lab-created androstenedione, I believe. Androstenedione, actually, I think is the correct pronunciation. It's a long word, it's a long chemical. It's been something that I've been grappling with for a while. And clear indicators that women are attracted to those t-shirts which had the presence of those chemicals. Now, this is an androgen. It is synthesized through DHT, and DHT is only synthesized through the enzyme 5-alpha reductase from free base testosterone. So only actually 10% of your free base testosterone levels, only 10% of that level can be synthesized into DHT. So let's talk about the problem that hopefully all of us already are aware of, and that's the idea that testosterone levels are low. A lot of men have a very poor relationship with DHT because they fear male pattern baldness. I understand that. There's some evidence to suggest that there's definitely a relationship with high levels of DHT in your body and the prevalence of activating genes which cause you to lose your hair and start to recede. Fortunately, I have fairly good hair genes. I'm actually experimenting with how good those genes are at the moment, as you can probably tell. But again, this idea that the androgen pathway to synthesize into pheromones, such as the aforementioned one, please don't ask me to mention it again, comes from synthesization of free base testosterone into DHT using 5-alpha reductase, which is an enzyme from DHT, from free base testosterone into DHT, and then some subsequent enzymes that turn DHT into pheromones. Yeah. So the first issue is this: is men's testosterone levels are not high at the moment, and that could be and that is a multifactorial equation. We talk about endocrine disruptors very comprehensively on this channel, such as BPA and the prevalence of it in food and microplastics. If you're using cutting board that is made out of plastics, and you're cutting your chicken thighs on that plastic cutting board, and all those plastics are getting very small. We've got microplastics for a reason, are getting on the knife into your food. You're then cooking your food, and then you're ingesting microplastics which have estrogenic effects on the body. Not just that it blocks androgen receptors, but actually has a inverse effect due to estrogenic factors, feminizing qualities, one would say. Okay, so that is one part of a multifactorial equation. And then also you recognize if there's not enough testosterone in your body, and only 10% of that has been synthesized into DHT, then an even smaller fraction of that is going to be synthesized into pheromones. The anecdotal part of this, so I'm transitioning away from science now and into your personal experiences and my personal experiences, is that men who go on long bouts of abstinence, sexual control, celibacy, whatever you want to call it, start to experience this idea of female attention, female attraction. Okay, and the weight behind that is through this idea that what actually happens when you control yourself in this regard, if you mitigate sexual licentiousness, is that you're upregulating your androgen receptors. And I've said before, if you don't know what androgen receptors are, they are the lock to open the door for androgens actually moving into the nucleus of the cell and upregulating masculine gene expression, pheromones, hair, all these other bits and pieces that we fundamentally want. So the equation isn't as simple as, if I increase my testosterone levels, that I'm going to experience all the heightened masculine gene expression. It will certainly help, but it is one part of a multifactorial equation is my 5-alpha reductase enzyme working well? Am androgen receptors sensitive towards free-base testosterone. And that's what abstinence does. It makes your androgen receptors more sensitive to the permeation of free-base testosterone in your body. So I've made the maybe cliche at this point phrase that it doesn't really matter how high your free-base testosterone levels are if your androgen receptors aren't sensitive towards that. And studies have shown in animals that different parts of the brain become less and less sensitive and reactive towards free-base testosterone levels if we're practicing sexual licentiousness, promiscuity, adult material use, and let's say paying for it as well through a lady of the night to be sensitive towards them. Again, my opinion of them isn't high in the first place, but we're trying. I'm feeling nice today. I'm feeling compassionate and empathic today. Now, this is one part of the equation because many men will, and for good reason, I think you're right to be cynical and skeptical. That's completely fine of the fact that, hey, just because I stop, just because I leave myself alone, does that mean automatically that women are going to be throwing themselves at me? No, of course not. It usually happens in a much more subtle way, but it has to be around the right women, and this is the second part of the equation. And I'm reading more directly here from my book. So in simple terms, if we're not communicating to the environment that we are fertile, that we are virile through some of the aforementioned practice, leaving ourselves alone, increasing free-base testosterone levels, being sensitive to the permeation of free-base testosterone into our androgen receptors and into the nucleus. Okay, if we're not doing that, we're not signaling that, hey, I'm a fertile, healthy man, and my body is not signaling to the environment through the pheromones that, hey, I'm healthy, I'm sexually healthy, and my body will help me in that regard to show and demonstrate through the environment that, hey, I'm attractive and you can mate with me, in a very limbic system, animalistic and very biological format. The problem comes with what I said before, is being around the right kind of women. And the second problem, and one of the reasons and theories, I am of the opinion that it doesn't matter if you're, again, leaving yourself alone, is because women aren't doing the same either. What do I mean by that? They are not demonstrating, they're not showing to the environment that they're fertile either. And the problem is the pill. It's contraception. What is the pill? The pill, if you've been with, my last girlfriend had an implant, or contraception that tells the body that it's already pregnant, because that's what it does, because you can't get pregnant twice, as far as I'm aware, anyway. So the idea is that if you're taking something externally into the body that is signaling to the body that you can't get pregnant again, is the body going to be signaling and demonstrating to the environment that it is receptive to fertile men in the environment? Is it going to be equally, is their body going to be receptive to the pheromones that you're excreting through your sweat, through your skin, through your urine, through any bodily fluids? And the answer is no. So this is very, very, and for me, this makes a lot of sense in logical terms when you just think on a very basic layman's term description, that the reason why you're not experiencing attraction subconsciously, women orbiting you could be an IOI, an indicator of interest. And so orbiting, if you're not familiar with the term, is this idea that you could be at the gym, maybe you're going to the rack, maybe you're going to the squat bar, maybe you're going to the dumbbells, maybe you're going to the machine, and women are putting themselves in your proximity. And this is an indication that, hey, they want you to see that they are near you, that they're giving you the opportunity to approach, essentially. That's what it is. And, they're never going to do that if they are taking contraception and not receptive to, the chemicals that you're excreting through your skin. What for me would be a really interesting study, and what is an interesting study, by the way, is that T-shirt study. The groups that they were experimenting on, the women, they selected them all to be on contraception. So as far as the study is aware on paper, women are only receptive to androstenedione, we've got up here for the definition, when it has more stronger and potent effects on women that are ovulating, and also women who are not on any kind of contraception. So what does this mean for us? It means, and again, this is just a theory. We are on masculine theory. What does this mean for us? I'm sure there'll be extensive research in this area, and I hope there is, because I find the concept fascinating, because the sexual liberation period, the promotion of contraception in our culture as seen as this, very, very big thing, and allows women to enter the workplace and also have risk-free sexual relations with as many multiple partners as you'd like. But nothing is free. Nothing is risk-free. There's always going to be consequences towards that. And, I can't speak specifically, intimately, and anecdotally for women who are taking contraception, who are taking the pill, who have implants and things like that, on the other consequences. But, I've had partners who've had them, and difficulties with mood, difficulties with skin, difficulties with weight, even, all comes at the consequence of this contraception. It is not too difficult for the imagination to entertain that equally this will have effect on areas that they're not conscious to yet. One of them is being attracted to men on the level that they are high in free-base testosterone levels, which is being synthesized into DHT through 5-alpha reductase, which through other enzymes is being synthesized into pheromones to signal to the environment that they are mating. There's a lot of continuity with the research that I have read and gone through, that the equation is fairly simple when you look at it on paper, is that women are attracted to men with the highest levels of testosterone, not just subconsciously but consciously through characteristics like the square jawline, increased facial hair, increased muscle bulk, because these are all indicators. What is testosterone an indicator of? It's an indicator that this individual is ambitious, is driven, can protect her and the family. Biology rules in this respect. Of course, it's going to demonstrate and signal to the women, to females, if we're going to stick with the biological vernacular here, that this individual is competent and can protect them. It's a survival mechanism, and I know we live in a modern world now where that isn't, it's not likely that we are going to be surviving quite so similarly to the caveman kind of hunter-gatherer era, but that wasn't even that long ago, really, and we haven't changed too dramatically in terms of our genetic and biological makeup and disposition towards those factors. So I wanted to drop with you, a theory. Again, there is some. I think what's interesting for me is the reason why I think this has some weight is that you can kind of take studies that have more objectivity around them, such as the sweaty t-shirt study, and you can apply them to other areas of. Or you can kind of, theorize and ponder and assume or presume that this could be the implication in other contexts. What do you think, guys? Am I reaching here? This is something that I'm covering extensively on my book. The book is coming out. It's coming along slowly, but I want to give you guys the best. If you want to stay for more theories, you're in good company here. These aren't facts today. These are theories. Some facts. Speak soon.